I would bet my life on it that in his brain, what his brain is doing there, it's wrong. Bad brain, Kirby. Bad brain. Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I'm good.
Lori's good. Tonight is Monday, October 13th, 2025.
My dad's birthday.
Lori's father's birthday.
Oh, nice. Columbus Day also.
More importantly, we have to live bet the games.
Oh.
Two Monday night games going on right now. The Falcons and Bills already well underway. Falcons with a 14-7 lead at home over the Buffalo Bills and with the ball. So things are looking good there for the Falcons. Let's not live bet that one, though. Let's live bet the Bears and the Commies. Bears plus 5.5 points in Washington or Maryland or wherever that silly stadium is. Bears 5.5 point road underdogs, plus 220 on the money line, minus 270 for the Commies. What are we doing?
Going with the Commies here. Should be able to win it.
Money line, or are we going to lay the points?
Money line.
It's a $5 bet for a return of $1.85.
These always hit.
They always hit, except when they don't. Like, for example,
Like last week.
On Thursday night when the Giants and the Eagles were playing, and you were so confident in the Eagles.
Where did that effort come from? That was remarkable by the G-Men.
Man, the Giants were good last Thursday, weren't they?
That was amazing.
Jackson Dart. You need the S and the X.
It is funny. You can hear people say the X and the S in that the same way you can hear when someone is saying folks with the F-O-L-X instead of just folks, F-O-L-K-S. Like, you can hear it.
That's true, yeah.
It's mostly in their attitude and their aura, more so than necessarily the pronunciation of the consonants there. You have a good weekend, Abe?
I did. I had a nice weekend. Had dinner with the family on Sunday. On Saturday, I early in the day watched the games at home, doing some stuff. But then I went out to the local watering hole to watch the Georgia Auburn game, and I was seated next to an Auburn man with his lovely wife, who's a Georgia lady, and then there was some Alabama folks also. There was an interesting mix of people at the bar. The Auburn guy was very pleasant. He kept on buying me shots.
I bet he was very friendly for the first hour and a half or so.
Things went south, but it was a very festive sort.
Well, good. We should get right into it. Let's recap a very, very fun weekend of college sports action. I, of course, missed all of the early stuff.
I took a picture.
In favor of youth sport.
I took a picture of my 5 screens, and it was 20 to 22, and 23 to 20, and 20 and 20, and lots of 20s. Yeah. It was intense. Bob was busy, but I got to be home by myself for a few minutes and just have it.
What should we start with? Should we just do Georgia? Do Georgia Auburn? I think we should do that first.
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about.
That was not a fun game. I mean, it was a fun Saturday.
No, it wasn't.
Good Lord, that was so close to being 17-0. Like that. This is yet one more. I don't know how many games we're at this season, but another slow start by Georgia, where you kind of have to dig your way out of a hole. Thankfully, there was a punch out at the goal line to prevent the 17-0 start. That whole sequence of events took forever, didn't it? It was it felt like
the final
40 minutes.
2 minutes took, I think, 37 minutes or 27 minutes.
It just felt like it just would not end. And I don't understand what the final outcome was. So the fumble happens. That part seemed to be clear.
So
Not-
Well,
so
not to everybody.
not to everybody. Everybody
Not to the
seems to
broadcast
think.
crew.
I want to back up first before we get to the turning point of the game. It really did feel like a repeat of 2 or 3 other games already this season and half a dozen games from last year. But we are now accustomed to the other team getting the ball first and scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's just what happens. We are going to be down by a score to start the game. And I
Right.
don't understand it. And the thing that is completely bizarre to me is how thoroughly dominant we were as a defense after those first 4 drives or whatever of the
Right.
game.
And that's a consistent trend, right? The second half adjustment, whatever it is that they do during halftime, I don't know. It can be a speech. I mean, how many speeches can you give, right? I don't know
No,
what's
it's gotta
happening.
be ticky-tack scheme stuff.
But then that speaks to a lack of preparation going into the game, that
Yes.
you're able to then identify, oh, this is what they're doing, and then they're able to move their people where they need to, and then the team looks great. I mean, like the second half, the defense looks great, but the first half they look like they're lost.
So Jackson Arnold does miss a couple of balls late where he wasn't perfect. And this is what I said about Ty Simpson after the Alabama game was the way that this defense is arranged, we are arranged mostly to stop the run, right? And so
It wasn't working.
if our focus was to stop the run, I mean it sort of was working though, right? I mean, not early on, but like
No,
for
not
the
early
entire
on.
for the entire second half it was working. That leaves opportunities for the opposing quarterback if he's on his game to pick us apart in the secondary. And he had 2 or 3 easy long balls that he simply did not complete. And he was off target a couple of other. And now that is in part because he was hurried a little bit more in the second half than he was in the first. But we don't get to the quarterback very well, oddly enough. Like what has been a staple of Georgia defenses in the past, we don't have dudes who are going to get to the quarterback this year. And it leaves open the possibility that you're going to get burned by perfect quarterback play. And the good news is Jackson Arnold is not capable of a full game of perfect quarterback play, unlike what we saw in the Alabama game.
Yeah, thankfully.
But yeah, we got absolutely gashed to start the game. I mean, it was as
It was so
demoralizing.
frustrating.
Right. It was a thoroughly demoralizing opening drive. They go 14 plays, 75 yards.
I think you should change what you just said to it might have been a thoroughly demoralizing
As a
drive.
fan, it was
Yes, as a
thoroughly
fan.
demoralizing. And despite that fact, I texted the various group chats.
Probably going to win.
As demoralizing as this is, it's bizarre to not get angsty about this sort of an opening drive because I'm so accustomed to this being the result, right? Like, This is just what we can expect, that we're not going to be able to stand up to them. And then we go punt, they go 12 plays for another 70 yards, and then we miss a field goal. We hadn't missed field goals very much this year, but that happened. And then it goes punt, 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 and then we get to the long drive that they go on. This is going to be their third, because they have the 14-play touchdown drive, they have a 12-play field goal drive, and then they have this 15-play drive that ends on the quarter-yard line with the fumble. And so that ball goes in the end zone there. You're down 17-0 with a minute or so to go in the half, and it's hard to imagine that things turn around in the fashion that they turned around.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you don't know, obviously.
Well, obviously you don't know, but we were down worse at Alabama last year.
Right, but the difference is that what we know about how Auburn reacted to that adversity is that changed the complexion of the game in the way that a score there, 17-0, does not, right? They're still riding super high going into the half, almost no matter what happens with the minute and change that we have. Even if we go out and score a touchdown there, still, they've shown that they can go on 10, 12, 15-play drives and get scores out of it.
Right.
Instead, they effectively try to go in for what amounts to a tush push, and I would say the majority of people who have talked about this, and as it was happening on television, fucking Greg McElroy and McDonough were insisting that this should be a score, right? They seem to suggest that the ball goes over the imaginary line that extends up into the all the way through the clouds into the universe, suggesting that this should have been a score. And I just so completely disagree. And then they go to finally, like 45 minutes later, they go to the halftime show, and Booger McFarland and the other halftime goober is like, no, that should have been a score. The refs really blew it. It's like, this is, and it's driving me up a wall because on the replay, CJ Allen, because I will grant you that ball crosses the plane, right? But it's a question of when does the ball begin to come loose? When does he lose possession of it? And it's not, when you saw it live, what you thought was happening was the not CJ Allen guy, I forget the dude, but
yeah.
The second punch is the one that really jars the ball loose. And yes, the second punch comes after the ball has crossed the plane of the goal line. The difference is that C.J. Allen got a hand in there and shoved Jackson Arnold's hand off the ball. His bottom hand comes off the ball, and the ball starts moving because
and
now
it's funny, in a still frame you can't tell it's moving.
Right. So all the stupid still frames where they draw the imaginary line in place and say, you tell me if this ball is across the plane or not. Like, the still frame doesn't tell you anything, you fucking dummy. You paused it after the ball was already moving. It doesn't matter. The ball comes out of his possession because C.J. Allen knocked his hand off of the ball. He does not have possession of that ball. And then the second punch comes in. And the ball comes loose.
Right. It felt like a lot of the focus was on that second punch, and they almost gave it like no thought that the ball was kind of dislodged by the first punch, and it was. But what's interesting is that thankfully the refs called it on the field a fumble. Had they called it a touchdown, I suspect they would have just let that stand, right? Like, it seems like
I don't know because I heard some reporting afterwards that there was no controversy in the SEC replay conversation.
Well, it took a real fucking
It took a long time.
Yeah.
But there was nobody who was in that conversation who was saying this should be a touchdown.
But the I wonder what took all that. If that's true, I did not know that. But if that's true, then I wonder what the time was dedicated to. Because once the ball became loose, a Georgia player picks up the ball.
I think the conversation was probably,
was Kirby Smart
we blew this dead, right? Like,
yeah.
I think that the conversation must be the play was dead before the Georgia player collected the ball and then ran it all the way back the other way.
Yeah, because basically they gave the ball like right where Auburn had it almost, right? Like maybe like a yard past it. But, you know, the thinking was, well, if this is a live ball, then it should be a touchdown the other way. But you're right. They called it dead, and so they stuck with it. But then if that's true, then why did it take so long? Because it seemed like if they were able to kind of like make the, you know, they called it a fumble, they should have decided it was a fumble pretty quickly, and that should have been the end of it. But between this, you know, McElroy and others making this point about how they fucked up, and then later on with a timeout situation, it gives the impression that the Georgia benefited a lot from the refs.
Right. But to this point, this halfway point in this game, they had not. That was correctly decided by the people on the field, and then also correctly decided on replay. And arguably, I think, like, because I don't know, I didn't go back and listen to see, can I hear the whistle on the television broadcast as to when they blew it dead? But like, that should have been a score for Georgia.
The ball, of course, like they have to have blown it dead because they were trying to find the ball. And remember, you saw Kirby pointing like, the ball is down there.
Yeah.
Like they have to have blown it dead.
Right, because they were still looking for the ball in the pile when the Georgia player was 40 yards in the other direction.
Right.
In retrospect, I'm kind of relieved that we had the opportunity to make that 88-yard drive down the field. Now, granted, I would have preferred to finish with a touchdown, and obviously you'd rather have 7 points than 3. But it established something, right? Like the fact that we then, not only do we take the candy from the baby there on the goal line, and that hurts them, but instead of it being a fluky weirdo thing where they can almost just brush it off, like, whatever, bad shit happens, but we just had a 15-play drive that nearly ended in the end zone. We're good, right? We'll get the ball back. We're good. Instead, we possess the ball and march down the field ourselves for the first time, right? We had not moved the ball at all to that point. At that point, it was 220-something yards to 20 total yards for Georgia.
Right.
They had run 40 plays or 36 or 40 plays or something, and we had run 12.
Right. That fumble at the goal line was basically like the before and after. Like after that, Auburn wasn't able to move the ball as well, and Georgia was. There's always the human element to it. I wonder how frustrated the Auburn people think, the players and their coach, who seems to be a loose cannon, just flailing about throughout. I wonder if that negativity kind of led to what happened to them, because they just kind of just petered out. Like They weren't able to do anything.
It is impossible that it isn't entirely coaching.
Hugh Freeze in the halftime interview was a complete mess.
Yes.
Just a complete mess going into the locker room.
Maybe something will break our way next time.
And he looked puffy. He looked unhealthy. Like he looked like dog shit.
Yeah,
and on
he
top
looked
of that,
all
he's
kind
just
of close.
completely flummoxed and out of his goddamn mind at the fact that he thinks that he actively thinks they're being fucked.
Like the fix is in. He's thinking
Right.
something is up.
And he's wrong. He's wrong to either have that attitude, and worse, he's wrong to allow that attitude to seep through into his presentation, because he didn't go into the locker room with the right mindset to talk to those kids. 100%, it's a question of coaching at this point. He was a mess. I do want to jump ahead to the timeout thing that happens.
Okay.
So there's it has now been accepted that what happened, and I will grant, I thought in the moment that Kirby succeeded in one of the all-time great bullshitteries of coaching history. Like just an unthinkable Jedi mind trick that he pulled on the sideline judge there. Because what it looks like Kirby sprints towards the official, indicating a timeout, and yelling something that appears or might well be timeout, right? By all appearances, that appears to be what happens. And then the guy does his thing. He blows the whistle. And, of course, it's compounded by the fact that the play clock is going down to 0 at that point. So it looks, by all appearances, it looks like Kirby is calling a timeout there.
Right.
But he immediately...
Well, that this is a televised program, with cameras and such.
Right. But he immediately, as soon as the guy signals timeout, he starts going, no. Not a time. I didn't call timeout. I didn't want a timeout. I was saying that they're clapping. And so, but what has become solidified in all of the coverage of this in the postgame, and then in all of the reaction to it afterwards, is that Kirby bullshitted his way into getting that call not to be a timeout, and that there should be reprimands handed out to the officiating crew for bending to Kirby's bullshit will, or to Kirby himself. Now, maybe you can't punish Kirby publicly, but you could go behind the scenes and be like, Kirby, we can't have this, right? You can't yell timeout, get the timeout, and then insist that you didn't get the timeout or didn't want the timeout, only to have the timeout put back in your pocket. That's we just can't have this.
Also, we didn't score on that drive. After
Yeah,
all.
I mean, it became a wash, but
And
it
ended
wasn't
this game with a spare timeout. So fuck you.
right. Basically, it did not matter once everything was said and done. But just by watching it live, that hand gesture looked like a timeout, and the circumstances for it warranted a timeout because the clock was running short. Maybe they would have snapped it before then, but it looked like the coach was trying to get ahead of a delay of game situation. And then he was saying, "Oh no, the Auburn player," and you can see there's other footage out there where I think it was a secondary player is doing some sort of clapping.
Yeah, the safety is clapping. The safety is mimicking the snap count.
Which is what falls under disconcerting signals.
Right.
Apparently, there's this rule that says that there are certain things that the offense can do that the defense cannot emulate, and vice versa. And one of them is that the offense may use a clap as a starting signal, and therefore, because the offense can use it, the defense cannot emulate it to throw them off. It's this thing. So.
Which is known that Auburn does this, right? So Kirby and the staff knew this going in and told the referees to be on the lookout for it. He says they clap all the time during when we're getting ready to snap the ball, and they're not allowed to do that. So he tried to get ahead of this.
But so what was that hand gesture then?
So what he's doing there, and I know it sounds psychotic,
It
but
looks
I
like
swear,
a timeout signal.
I swear, if this was the Billy Napier at Florida or Josh Heupel scared of broccoli at Tennessee, I would be making this same point. You just have to trust me on this. This is not deranged Georgia fan goggles that I'm wearing at the moment.
Yeah.
What Kirby is doing. And it looks like a time for all the world.
Yeah.
It looks like a timeout.
That is a timeout.
He is
Don't you sometimes clap?
He's
like
not.
this?
He's not clapping. This is not. This is also the wrong take, Lori. He's not clapping like an idiot with two fingers into his palm in the shape of a T.
I mean, you're judging if you're saying that's how idiots clap.
He's indicating, like, as he's signaling what a clap is without clapping himself.
A clap is palm on palm. He's not
No, I know.
palm on palm.
But what he's saying is he's showing his palm.
Look.
I guarantee you that's what's going through his head. It's idiotic, right? It is completely idiotic to indicate that you believe someone else is clapping by pointing at the palm of your hand with two fingers. But that is absolutely what he's doing because he comes screaming down the sideline, jamming his fingers into his palm, and he's mouthing and yelling over and over again, "They're clapping! They're clapping! They're clapping!"
You're right.
And he's pointing at his hand as though that's the universal symbol for their clapping.
This is the clapping.
Yeah.
Right.
That is
Point to your
a flimsy I just don't buy. I think what happened was that he was trying to get their attention about the illegal clapping, and he called a timeout.
No, he's not calling timeout.
You
he's
cannot
saying they're clapping, they're clapping, and he is indicating his open palm. I would bet my life on it that in his brain, what his brain is doing there, it's wrong. Bad brain, Kirby. Bad brain. Don't indicate that they're clapping by pointing at your palm with your index finger, right? Don't do that in the future. But
which is a universal timeout.
Right, the absolutely agreed upon universal timeout symbol, right? Idiot. Don't do that. But what's going on, the neurons there, right? The conscious process is I am indicating that by pointing to my open palm that they are doing a bad thing by clapping their hands together. Like that's I'm dead. I bet my life on it.
The shame is that there is sign language for applause, and it's waving your hands.
Oh, really?
Sort of like jazz hands. That's it's not universal. It's American Sign Language, but nobody knows that. So that would have saved, I don't know, 15 minutes, whatever.
It is interesting that the refs, if they were told about this Auburn thing, this trend of Auburn doing this sort of thing, none of the refs were mindful of it. It's Kirby is like screaming at them, like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on over there?" And they'd pay that no mind. They're not like looking like, "Oh yeah, you're right, they did do that." They just were. I heard a timeout or I saw the timeout, which is another weird thing. So he's doing
all
this.
It was, but the referee, even when you watch the video, the guy who indicated the timeout has a mask of immediate regret.
Yeah.
He's not like, what are you talking about, man? Because I don't think he's hearing timeout, timeout, timeout. What he's seeing is he's hearing they're clapping, or he's probably not hearing anything because it's loud as shit in there. What's happening
so all he sees is
Kirby is running in his direction, and out of the corner of his eye, he sees finger to palm indication of clapping happening, and mistakes it reasonably so for the coach trying to call a timeout.
That's accurate. The ref was right. He saw a timeout signal and he called a timeout. I don't understand.
I don't know if the ref even ever saw it. I suspect he felt Kirby's approach, right? Like and because
saw the clock winding down.
Right, saw the clock winding down. Like all signs. I'm not denying. Literally, all signs pointed to Kirby wants a timeout for his team. But I think that the true reality of the situation, and this is again, you just have to trust me that if I saw this happening to a team that I hated, I would come down on this side. Because for 15 minutes after that, I was gobsmacked by the idea that Kirby, who had been seen streaking down the sideline and by all appearances screaming for a timeout, right? Was able to Jedi mind trick that motherfucker into giving him the timeout back, right? Like, how did that, I was just like, how is that possible? And then I watched his post-game press conference where he says, no, do the lip reading. I was not calling timeout. I was saying they're clapping. And I was I was pointing at my hand to indicate such. And that's what happened. I went back and watched it again. That is absolutely what happened. And
You can
anybody
believe
who
that,
insists that what Kirby did was call a timeout, and then, last year we had the thing with Dan Lanning and the too many men on the field, and the question was, is Dan Lanning, trailer park slut / old-timey bank robber, also an evil genius, right? Did they plan this?
And in his case, yeah.
And he
right?
gave some indication that they did plan this, but also it wouldn't you?
It worked.
It worked, and so even if you didn't, but everybody was like, "Hey, man, that was pretty sneaky and cool. Did you do that on purpose?" Then he's going to be like, "I don't know, but we watch tape just like everybody else does, right?" And then it's like, "Oh, everybody thinks Dan Lanning's a secret evil genius," but imagine what a weird evil genius Kirby would have to be to come screaming down the sideline in the direction of the referee who gives you timeouts. And then get the timeout called, and then immediately jump down his throat and say, "No, I didn't want a timeout, you idiot. What are you doing? Why'd you give me a timeout? I'm not asking for a timeout." What? Also, who gives a shit if he had blown the timeout, then he blew the time. It's not like he got it. He went into this weekend thinking, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get 4 timeouts against these fuckers because that's going to get under Hugh Freeze's skin. That's not what's happening. He didn't have immediate regret.
And it did
about
work,
calling.
Nothing worked.
But why would he have immediate regret about getting the timeout that he was seeking if he was in fact seeking it?
He was trying to get their attention. The clapping was not helping, so he went with a timeout signal.
He did not. No, I'm telling you, it was not a timeout signal.
Can we agree that is a timeout signal? That is a timeout signal.
He made the timeout signal.
That's all
it does
that matters.
not mean that it was a timeout signal.
He made the timeout signal to the ref, and then he received it as such. And then it's like, now that I got your attention, I was talking about the clap, not the timeout.
You think that's what was in his head?
That is definitely what happened.
I need to get your attention with the timeout.
He's running towards them. He's doing the clap. No one's paying him any mind. He's like, well, fuck this. I'm going to do the timeout signal.
I'm telling you, watch it again.
It worked. The scheme
watch it again. Because he's not calling a timeout.
There has never been any time where he has done that. That is such a weird thing to happen. That is clearly I need to get your attention, you fucking idiots. And he got their attention eventually.
He's not last resorting with a timeout to get their attention.
Definitely. That is exactly what happened. I'll put your life on it too.
Oh.
Look, Kirby is immediately saying, "I don't want a timeout."
Yeah, They were clapping.
And look at the face on that guy. The face on that referee says, "Oh shit." I didn't actually hear timeout, did I? He does not shake his head no, you said timeout.
Right. Trying to pull a fast one. What do we do?
McDonough saying, "Can they let him get away with this?" is what starts to drive me crazy.
Bob, we started this game. And it was these two in the booth, and Bob was like, "I don't like this. I don't like these two."
Well, because fucking Greg McElroy is just such a tool bag, and he did the thing. I didn't make a note of it. I should have. That was foolish. But he had on 3 consecutive plays. He said things that were in complete opposition to one another. But did fit with the moment, and it's the thing that he does better than anybody. He will say whatever is necessary in this moment, and it will have nothing to do with what he said 45 seconds earlier. I agree. He is putting his fingers to his palm, but he's trying to indicate that they are clapping. He's not actually calling a timeout. And when you look at his lips, it's hard to see on this replay because I think there's one more replay here where they actually show his mouth, and it very clearly he's saying, "They're clapping, they're clapping."
That is textbook.
They're clapping, he's saying. He's not saying timeout. He is clearly saying they're clapping, not saying timeout.
Right. He's using the hand gesture of a timeout.
Yes, by mistake. His brain did the bad thing, but he is indicating his palm that a clap is happening. Anyway, I don't want to hear it from anybody because, as we say, it had no bearing on the rest of the game, and except that all it did was make Hugh Freeze even more of a fucking insane person, right? Like, this is a fully tilted individual. You can't tilt him further, but like he was quite tilted at that point, and there was no coming back. But like the idea that Kirby called timeout in order to then immediately say, "No, I don't want the timeout," doesn't hold water. It doesn't make any sense.
Other than just attention seeking, which is what he got.
But what is
But he would have gotten the attention.
Why would you? He's getting the attention by running down there.
He literally did not. Like if he just wanted to draw their attention to the illegal move of the clapping, and I think by that point they had stopped clapping. Like they like when he identified the clapping, you can see it was like with 5 seconds left. But once they got down to like 2 or 1, they weren't clapping anymore. And so, like, what are you going to point to? Like, if you get their attention,
but you can't call Abe. That suggests that he can call a timeout and get them to throw a flag on clapping that happened 4 seconds earlier.
Right.
Like that doesn't make any goddamn sense either.
If he was just looking for attention, then he could have called the timeout and then had a conversation with the ref about the clapping.
Right, but Kirby Smart has been coaching for a very long time. He has never done that. Like the timeout signal to mean something other than the timeout. So like
I'm not telling you it was good brains at work here.
Right.
What I'm telling you is that he was indicating his palm to say they're clapping. He did not want a timeout. He was not trying to get a stop in the action so that they could retroactively throw the flag, which is not a thing that is allowable to happen.
Right. But in any event, they were able to get a redo of that situation. Like, right, there was no delay of game. They just redid it. So like that was
did a redo.
That was an advantage Georgia,
which
right?
is not how it should work. Just like that should have been a touchdown for Georgia if that was a fumble. My dad is calling, but I can't talk to him. If that was a fumble, it should have been a touchdown for Georgia. The compromise is, okay, it's Georgia's ball at the 1 foot line.
Right.
This is the same thing. We fucked up. It would be wrong to penalize Georgia for the touchdown.
Right.
So, but also it would be wrong to do a delay of game penalty. So, bygones.
Right. Yeah, let's redo it. It was just unfortunate that happened.
That's not how officiating should
Right.
work, but it's how it worked.
In any event, Auburn, like I said,
Auburn sucks.
Just entirely on tilt. They were unable to get anything going in the second half, and it felt entirely like not about the dudes on the field and entirely about the mindset of the coaches. This is a position that Georgia has found themselves in over and over and over again, and this team in particular, finds a way to fight back and stay in it and stay mentally and physically composed, right? They are a product of their coaching staff in that way. Say what you will about the preparation ahead of time, and it's not great. Something is not quite working there. But the in-game coaching is as good as you will find anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And it has been for a very long time. The farthest he's come since his early days is being much more in control of what's happening on the field as it's going on, right? Crazy Kirby, those first couple of years, was completely unhinged and out of control. He's still kind of out of control over there, but he also very clearly has full mastery of everything that's going on around him in a way that he didn't a decade ago. Right. And that's part of the other reason why I reject that what he's trying to do is to get their attention by calling a timeout. No, he's trying to call their attention to an illegal play that's happening, but he's not going to throw away a timeout for no good reason just to make that happen.
Auburn, after having a decent first half, their second half, they had 5 possessions. 2 of them were turnover on downs, and 3 of them were 3 and outs. Like after having those, like how you rattle off like 12-play drive, 14-play drive, 15-play drive, there were basically 3 and outs and then turnover on downs after going for it on 4th down. So it's like just everything just kind of fell apart. So whatever adjustments they needed to make, like, hey, we have this team where we want to, forget about that fumble on the goal line. We can just continue doing what we're doing and kind of continue what they were doing at the beginning of the first half. They weren't able to do that. They just kind of fell apart.
No,
Not
because
1
Hugh
point.
Freeze is a man drowning in his own sense of victimhood rather than being in charge of his situation. And I know that sounds silly and maybe over the top, but this is not
It's not.
someone who was composed and ready to handle adversity at all. And it made me think of a team that we play in Little League, where if you can score on them in the first
they have
inning,
good players.
yeah, they have good players, more talented than any other team in the league. But if you can get under them early and like knock them off their game a little bit, they start fighting amongst themselves and they cannot keep it together. And I know that can be perceived as shitty. Like, what you're talking about, the mental state of an 8-year-old right now, Bob, you
But
lunatic.
that's how leadership works.
But it's absolutely what leadership is, right? Leadership is finding yourself up against it and having somebody who can keep everybody moving in the right direction and staying on track. And there are teams that can do that, led by Kirby Smart, for example, and there are teams that cannot. And that Hugh Freeze and Auburn found themselves in a tough spot. I will grant that. That goal line fumble is brutal. And yes, could it have gone the other way and it would have been bad luck for Georgia and I would have been all pissed off about it because my assumption is that they had gotten it wrong? Of course. But what I have no doubt about is that whether Georgia's down 17-0 at that point or 10-0 at that point, the 5 minutes after that, Kirby's got everybody pulling in the same direction again, right? Like, even when shit goes completely against us, Kirby is able to get this thing moving in the right direction again. And it's not the case for Hugh Freeze. Right. And I don't know if the guy keeps his job by the end of the year, but like if I'm Auburn, if I'm somebody who can make these sorts of decisions, I've decided already. Yeah. Like Hugh Freeze is not someone that can do it here. Right at this level, he simply cannot do what is necessary. Not about play calling, not about recruiting, not about scheming, not about any of that. It's about whether or not what happens. What do you do when you get punched in the mouth? And what he does when he gets punched in the mouth is freak out and not be able to keep his shit together.
And it pivots easily. Not that we need to fucking James Franklin getting fired, and also maybe Brian Kelly not working out. It's like I keep saying, these asshole head coaches whose coaching style is going to go extinct. Because when all the teams have equal players, all that's going to matter is the other stuff.
Right.
Like, if that happens to LSU, the same thing happens. They fall apart. If that happens to, I don't know, Oregon, probably not. Like, they might not win, but it's not just like, oh, well, this is over now. The world's against us. I won't be surprised to see that coaching style not last.
If you had told me after Auburn kicked that field goal with 10 minutes to go in the half that they weren't going to score again,
yeah,
I would have said you're out of your goddamn mind, right? I wouldn't have put $10 on that for $1,000 return, right? Like if the FanDuel prop bet popped up in on my phone at that moment, it's like, hey, for $10 we'll give you $1,000 if Auburn doesn't score again by the end of the game. I'd be like, why? Why? I might as well light a $10 bill on fire. What are you talking about?
Right.
It's like shocking that this score ended 20-10.
Right. But, I think against Alabama did not score once after the half, right? So,
right.
They just happened to score too many points to overcome in the first half. But, basically it was a similar thing to where, adjustments were made and Alabama was not able to do anything in this. I mean, they could have been, just trying to preserve their lead, so maybe their strategy was different than Auburn. But Georgia is pretty good at making adjustments. They're just not very good at starting games, and that's going to be a problem going forward when they play good teams. They're going to put up enough points to where you can't come back.
It was an awesome win, and I know it was ugly, but
ugly game, yeah.
I don't care. It was just an awesome win.
It's a moral victory and also an actual victory.
And I do hope that they keep Hugh Freeze. I just like to see his face. When he gets it makes for good television when he just kind of freaks out. I mean, it may fuck up his heart at some point, but it's entertaining.
Yeah. The only other point to make here, I guess, at the end is Grunter Stockman going in and scoring that touchdown instead of sliding on the 4-yard line was unfortunate. It probably made a bunch of gamblers happy because, of course, that got us on the other side of the line there.
Why was it unfortunate?
Because you give them the ball back, and now you have to go play defense. If he takes a knee or slides on the 3 or 4 yard line instead of going in for the score, Georgia runs the clock out and wins the game 13-10. And I know Kirby was saying that he talked to Grunter after that and said, "Hey man, you gotta slide there instead of scoring." But it was a 2-score game ultimately, so no harm, no foul. But
Right.
was the scene at the bar just fucking delirious? Like, what was how
I
were
think
people taking this?
The fact that it took so long, like it took a while for that drive to happen. People were just kind of like, the conventional look for like neutral fans is like, he called a timeout, and like, I don't know, I think that was a fumble. But the fumble stuff people kind of settled down on once they kind of saw enough replays. But the timeout one, there wasn't any movement on that, and then it didn't amount to much anyways, so it was kind of a moot point. But people were saying, "Oh, the refs suck."
Well, I mean, the game was disastrously officiated.
Right.
They kept looking at shit that they didn't need to look at. It kept taking longer than it needed to take, and then like there was an illegal block called against Georgia that seemed like bullshit. That seemed in the moment like, oh well, we just gave you a free timeout, so we're gonna have to call a bogus penalty on you.
Like a makeup, yeah.
And then there was, I mean, whatever. It was just it felt like, I think I saw or heard somebody else say this, but it felt like the officials had sort of lost control of the game.
Yes.
Like it just didn't feel like they were in charge of the proceedings there.
Yeah.
And having to go and look at replay over and over and over again doesn't help in that regard. It does not reinforce your authority. It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing.
Did you, the big game of the weekend was Indiana-Oregon, right? ESPN's College Game Day was in Oregon, and because they're in the West Coast, when the show starts, it's like it's still dark, right? The sun hasn't come up.
6 in the morning.
They have the carnival barker, Pat McAfee doing all that stuff. Basically, they have him basically like open the crowd. When the show begins, that I've noticed that this is kind of what they have him for. He kind of does some stupid little thing, song and dance about the school, and the fans eat it up. And then he
usually gets up on his chair.
He gets up on his chair. Yes.
Somebody has to hold it for him. Hey, pro tip. Just stand on the desk,
right?
You fucking dummy.
Right.
Take 6 more inches up, take another half step, and stand on the desk, which isn't going anywhere.
Right. That desk is pretty sturdy.
It weighs like 800 pounds or something.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't do that. Like you have like old man Saban trying to,
Yeah, Saban's trying to hold the chair to keep it from. Just stand on the table, you moron. What are you doing?
I leave the room for 2 minutes and we talk about Pat McAfee?
Is there workman's comp when you have people getting paid millions? Like, would he like feign an injury? Like, oh, my neck hurts after tripping. I'm just trying to do the show a solid. Anyways, the reason why I bring up Pat McAfee and College Game Day, when they can, they have the head coaches come on to do an interview.
Right.
And your boy Lanning was there, and he got McAfee to do the stand, and embrace the crowd thing, and then he takes off his shirt, and I was like, oh. I even after the shirt off, I didn't think that Oregon would lose, but I was like, oh, this is not good. Like, if they lose, this is going to look bad on this. He's got this weird tattoo on him, Lanning.
Weird tattoo?
He's got some sort of, like, rib cage sign. I didn't get a good look at it.
His wife and her boobs.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
His wife and her boobs?
I mean, just Google Dan Lanning tattoo. It's his wife.
Okay, so then I guess that makes sense. But he did the whole thing. I was like, I don't know. Like, you want to be, ready for this game. This is a big top 10 matchup. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, there he is.
I didn't see this. Let's see. McAfee's still in pretty good shape there, huh?
He's like the most off-putting person.
It's not helping his case that he's a trailer park slut with the giant rib cage tattoo of his well-endowed wife.
Oh, that is is that's like a cleavage like down there?
Yeah,
Is
very
that what's happening?
cleavagey there.
Well, yeah, he loved his wife. What are you gonna do?
They met at Chili's.
Oh yeah,
I think something like that.
is that a organ on her neck or what am I looking at?
It looks like a
Texas.
Is that all the
breast-
schools that he associates himself with?
Oh.
it looks like a breast cancer awareness ribbon or something.
Oh. But is the O Oregon? And
I
is
think
that,
I think the O is the Oregon.
and then there's Texas below that, and then there's I think that's an Alabama A above it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it says pit in her tits. What's that about?
Maybe
Yeah. Does he have a?
worked there.
Does he have
Yeah,
a?
he did. He worked there.
Okay, there you go. And then some area code that he's proud of or she's proud of.
And is that the Georgia score, 33-18?
Yeah, is that what it is?
I think that's what that is.
That
He's
is-
got 33-18 tattooed above his wife's eyebrow. She's got a face tat of 33-18 in the tattoo.
Is what's his face? The Indiana coach gonna get a tattoo of Dan Land, like a fake tattoo, and just have the score?
I got to say, it's not a great tattoo.
I mean, if it was just his wife, that'd be one thing. All this other stuff is kind of distracting.
That's disturbing. All right. I did not, sadly, put my CIB pick'em money where my mouth was, but I had a feeling that Indiana upset was coming, and that proved out correct. I only saw the highlights, so I don't get a full narrative picture of what happened in that game. But from what I could tell, Indiana was not really ever in danger of losing this game.
Right.
30-20 sounds closer than it actually was, I think, even with some late scores going around. But Indiana dominated that game. From what I could tell.
That's probably their best win. I mean, definitely their best win in this 2-year stretch. I mean, like last year, the book on them was that because they had a pretty hot start. I think they were like 10-0 at one point. But it looked like, if they played like an Ohio State or anyone like in the college football playoffs, they would lose. And that's kind of what happened. So they kind of had that stink on them this year. At least that's the view I had of them going into this game. Like, well, they're playing a very good Oregon team, so they should be able to, they'll keep it close but lose. But pretty dominant win. And so I don't know what their ceiling is. Like, are they like a national title contender at this point?
I think they need to be considered that. Yeah, I mean they've got every reason to expect to be in the playoff at this point. They only have to beat Ohio State really moving forward here.
And even if they one loss.
Yeah, they can lose to Ohio State and still make the playoff. Certainly, no doubt about it. Alabama almost lost to Mizzou. Mizzou was this close
It was so close.
to
It
making
was so
something
close.
fun happen.
I was watching that game, but then at the bottom throughout the day, there was a Ole Miss score that I couldn't make sense of. Like, why were they struggling to put away Washington State?
Because they weren't good at it. It was that Lane Kiffin noon home game
Is that what it is?
that like no one shows up to.
Yeah, apparently the student section was basically empty for an 11 a.m. kick for Ole Miss.
Does
which
the
isn't
fan
great.
base play that big of a role? I mean, like they were not playing
I mean,
well.
but it's an indicator of the attitude of the whole situation there, including the team, and it's the team comes out and the stands are half empty and there's nobody in the student section. They're not going to be as enthralled about being there. It's hard to get up,
Yeah.
but they hang on and beat Washington State 24-21. But yeah, Mizzou very nearly did it, except that Ty Simpson really looks like the best quarterback in the country at this point. Like he's as good as anybody, certainly, and threw 3 more touchdowns this week.
Penn State lost. Did I miss it?
Yeah, we should probably talk about that. Penn State losing to Northwestern, and I say every year, find that game that Northwestern's going to win that nobody thought that they were going to win. Northwestern always has 1, sometimes 2, even if it's like a 4-7 Northwestern team. They're one of those weird teams like Purdue will surprise you and win a game out of nowhere. But I did not think if you looked at Penn State's schedule at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, hey, watch out for that Northwestern game there in the middle of the season. Because that's a classic Northwestern's going to steal this one kind of game. But after Penn State lost to UCLA last week, my thought process was, okay, well, now that will have woken them up.
Yes.
And they're going to be ready to beat Northwestern
At home.
at home. The talent disparity is quite a lot there. And instead, Drew Aller ends up getting, not that this was not determinative of the game by any means, but Drew Aller ends up getting hurt and out for the season, and Penn State loses.
At the very end.
And James Franklin is out.
Yeah, because they lost to Oregon, and you're like, okay, that's fine. And then they lose to UCLA, and you're thinking that's embarrassing because I think, like we talked about last week, it's one thing to lose the big ones, but you can't lose to UCLA also, because then what's the argument for keeping you other than the $50 million buyout? And then you lose to Northwestern after.
Right, but you could almost say, but who cares, right? We just lost to Oregon. We're going to be in a bad place psychologically or emotionally or what have you. But what you cannot afford to do is to follow that up with a home loss to Northwestern. You lost 60% of the fans after the last two games. You can't afford to lose anymore, and that was just it for him there.
And what is it? The sunk cost fallacy. It's like you just got to get rid of them anyways. But okay. So if you're Penn State, how attractive of a coaching job is it? I'm hearing Matt Rule has connections to Penn State.
Yes.
So Matt Rule, the AD, I think Matt Rule was a walk-on at Penn State. On top of that, the AD was his AD at Temple when Matt Rule had the Temple job. So they're like old friends or something.
But Matt Rule also has the can't win the big one problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're replacing one can't win the big one with another.
Yep.
I want to say also about because the thought was that this buyout was going to be a difficult thing to overcome. It's almost $50 million. Like, how do you possibly just write off $50 million? But apparently this is one of those. It's only $50 million if he can't get another job.
Yeah.
And so he must be actively looking for work,
it's
right?
It's a lot.
They have to make him whole up to $50 million. So if he goes out and through like 2031 or whatever. So if he goes out and he gets a job where he's making $5 million a year, Penn State only has to fork over $3 million a year or something like that. So they just have to get him up to a certain salary level. So in theory, he could go out and like take a haircut in terms of his next job relative to what he might otherwise command on the open market. And like go coach somewhere where he wants to coach, and Penn State effectively has to pay half of his salary or whatever, right?
I read somewhere that I don't know if his contract stipulates this, but I read somewhere that you have to accept market rate value and not like I'm gonna play for $50,000.
Right, just to fuck over Penn State or whatever. But like, still, like he'd go take a job for $5 million a year, and just because he was making 9.5 or 10 or whatever it was at Penn State, that doesn't mean it's not market rate, right?
Right, but I think wherever if he wants right back in, and I don't know if he does. I mean, he came from Vanderbilt and he did great there.
He's a Pennsylvania guy, though.
So, like, does he do like television for a year or two, wait for something else to open up, and people forget about his losses?
The thing is, there's going to be so many available jobs.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. So basically, you're thinking he's going to get right back in it. I imagine he'll be able to command $8 million a year. So, like, it's not going to cost Penn State that much.
Right.
If he jumps right back into it, I don't know where he's going to go. Virginia Tech. I don't know if we wait to see what other firings happen. Like maybe Auburn's job opens up.
Happen.
I mean, there's going to be a huge number. We know for absolute certain that both Florida and Wisconsin are going to be coming available.
Right. That's right. Yeah, Billy Napier is almost basically done.
Right. Mm-hmm. Napier's going to be out. The Wisconsin coach is going to be out. You can safely assume that I think that the Florida State coach is probably out this year also. The way that Florida State has been going.
Right.
And if all of these other teams are willing to eat these buyouts, like, Florida State's going to have to eat the buyout too. The programs that are going to be open this coaching offseason are like it's unreal. You've got
so many.
But like big time jobs.
Oklahoma
Penn State, Arkansas, UCLA, Oklahoma State. Assume Florida comes open. Assume Wisconsin comes open. You can safely assume I think Auburn and Florida State are both coming open. like huge jobs.
Right.
And yeah, I think that Franklin could have basically any one of those, with the exception of the Penn State job. But also, if you're Penn State, like Matt Rule, a guy who can't win at Nebraska.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think, and there's no way to know, but Fran Brown makes so much sense to me. Because Matt Rule is just the same thing. He's nicer and more likable, but you have this like guy who can't win the big game. If you go get Fran Brown, it's like okay if it's not perfect, because he's like new and people just like him, and he has made it clear that he wants to be in the Northeast. Like when he went from Georgia to Syracuse, part of the point was that he was like, I want to make the Northeastern football a thing again.
Right.
And he's young and fun. And
that could work,
I
yeah.
don't know why Penn State would go after anyone else.
You go after Kurt Signetti is
So
who they're going to
that's-
go
He
after.
Okay.
doesn't want to go anywhere.
I mean, that's fine,
he's-
but for $12 million a year, he might want to go somewhere.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Penn State's a better job than Indiana. I don't care that, like, we're going to make this into a top 20 perennial football powerhouse. All right, go do it with somebody else then. Because if I'm Kurt Signetti and I've gone from JMU to Indiana, and I could now go take one of, like, I don't know, are there 10 better jobs in all of college football than Penn State? I know that the expectations are high, but it's not.
When you say better,
It's not Ohio State level expectation. It's not Alabama level expectation, but it is that level of resources available to you.
Right.
It is that level of buy-in and passion,
Right.
and like they dominate their region, right? Like they should be able to recruit all of Pennsylvania and big chunks of Ohio. And now in this day and age, you can recruit from everywhere, so it doesn't fucking matter. But like Penn State is an awesome job to have as a football coach, and it will be the premier. Like I don't care if Florida and Florida State both come open. It is a better job than both of those because it is hard. It's going to be harder to win a national title at Florida or Florida State than it is at Penn State, in my opinion.
So, regardless of what Signetti says, like he is going to be fielding offers, and he's got to be like the top choice of the known names, right? After the turnabout and what he's done already this season, like it doesn't matter how he fares against Ohio State. I'm sure it'll be competitive, but like he can go anywhere. I don't know what connections he has to these other programs. I don't know if he's just looking at like the salary, because I think Indiana doubled his salary to $8 million last year. And so I'm sure if he stays, they're gonna bump it up to 10 at least.
I mean, maybe he is a good dude who wants to stay there. That's entirely possible. But if there is a job that is a dream job for him, and I certainly don't know, I don't think there's any other job that is open now or could come open that would be more attractive to a Kurt Signetti than Penn State would be. Right?
It says here he went to school at West Virginia, so maybe that. But other than that.
Yeah.
But then I don't know why you would want to go there.
I think it's a risk whatever direction Penn State ends up going in, because again, I think we made the Mark Richt comparison last time.
It is.
He's a very, very good coach who knows how to run these sorts of football programs, and maybe it's just run its course there, and that is a thing that happens. But also, you can find, like I said, you can find yourself hiring the spawn of Vince Dooley, and all of a sudden you're Tennessee and you're in the wilderness for a decade, and you just cannot know for certain that things are going to improve for you.
Right. You know, I'm sure he's a competitive man and he wants to go somewhere where he can vie for a national title. But why not go the Mark Stoops route? You know, find a team that's happy that you get them enough wins. You know, he can get you 8 to 10 wins easy. You know, he's not going to win any national title. So, like, if he can, like, go to Arkansas or whatever, and they're happy with.
See, but does he fit with Arkansas at all? Like,
No.
does that make any sense whatsoever?
No, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm saying like a place where like they're happy for improvement. They're not like
Virginia Tech.
They're not poo-pooing 10-win
So
seasons.
I don't know if Virginia Tech. I think it's a bit much even. Like if he wants a real challenge and to have the fire lit under his ass by the expectations and the media, maybe you go to Virginia Tech. But I think UCLA makes more sense on that front in terms of where a James Franklin might land next.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
Relatively minimal expectation. I mean, not minimal expectation, but like relatively small expectation. A program that needs an identity almost more than it needs anything else. And a guy who knows how to do that, a guy who knows how to build a program. Also, don't rule out Stanford. Andrew Luck, brain genius over there at Stanford, who's the CEO of the football program or whatever they're calling him. James Franklin is a sort of cerebral kind of guy, relatively speaking, as major college football coaches go. I could see him landing at Stanford.
Like a mind meld there? Okay.
All right. What else happened on the college football weekend?
I don't even remember.
Florida, like I was saying about Florida State lost to Pitt.
Yeah.
Pitt is not a very good team. I mean, they're fine, but they're not great. Florida State should beat Pitt at home, and they did not. And I think that's bad news for what's his name down there, Mike Norvell.
Yeah, I think could it look like after beating Alabama, maybe the tide was turning in his favor, but I guess not. When you lose to Pitt, like he's probably going to be gone by the end of the year. They're 0-3 in the ACC. Basically, there really isn't much path forward. So I don't know. I mean, who is? Because I think James Franklin is the second highest buyout. I think it's Texas A&M is number one, right? With what's his face, the former Florida State guy who went to Texas A&M, Jimbo. I think had the highest.
Right.
And I don't know what Norvell's. It's probably like $20 million or something. I don't know what.
I remember it being higher than that. Norvell's buyout is 85% of his remaining contract from 2025 to 2031, scheduled to make $72.7 million. That means his buyout before the season was $62 million, and his buyout after the season would be $53 million.
Holy shit.
It can be paid in full or in monthly installments through the 2031 season. So because they could pay it out over time, it's less of a big deal. Apparently, Stoops' buyout in Kentucky means that they have to cut him a check for the totality of it within 30 days of letting him go. So it's not like they could spread it out over the course of the next decade. They would owe Mark Stoops $20 or $30 million within 4 weeks of his firing, which that's not easy. But yeah, I don't think he can stick around much longer. Tennessee almost lost to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams that have lost their coach, USC fairly easily handled Michigan at home.
Was that a surprise? I didn't think it would be that lopsided.
Yeah, I think that the margin of victory, certainly, and the degree to which Michigan just didn't look like they could hang with USC was a surprise.
Right. Georgia Tech is just humming along with their undefeated record. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Played Duke this week.
I think they're the road dog at Duke, actually. Yep. I think that's a close line.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. South Carolina could not muster a win against LSU. Not a very pretty game from what I could tell. We didn't watch a lot of it. 20-10 is the final score there. Brian Kelly, needed it, obviously, but they got a lot of work to do.
Well, Garrett Nussmeier's supposedly hurt.
Yeah. Are we leaving out any of the other major storylines from this weekend? Oh, Texas and Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Red River Shootout.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
John Mateer, not healthy or something. Certainly not
very good.
At his best. Threw 3 picks and made Arch Manning look real good. Arch looked good for the first time this year. It was 6-3 Oklahoma at the half. And the game ends 23-6 with Texas on top. Arch 21 of 27 with a touchdown and no picks.
There was I think right before the game started, the studio people were kind of talking over the act, just the pregame ritual of people just kind of getting ready. And I think Booger said something along the lines of with Mateer playing, like he's like, if I was on the D line, I would find occasion to stomp on his hand. And he just said that just in a casual way. I was like, why are you admitting to wanting to hurt somebody who's like coming off an injury on national television, and like it was
He
kind of
would find a way to stomp on Mateer's hand. He said?
Yes, like
Like he
if
was
I'm on the
an
D
opponent.
line, I'm looking for like it was something. This is me paraphrasing, but it was like very directly like that, just like in a. I was like, wow, okay,
That's not very nice.
no, it's not very nice.
All right, let's look at the CIB football pick'em contest for 2025. This was it's like the Red Sea I'm looking at here
Yeah,
when
this
I pull
is
up
just
our.
a disaster.
I mean, I'm one to talk. I went 0 for 5 with my
Oh, I
five
did too, didn't I?
road underdog picks.
Now you had Kansas State.
You got Kansas State correct, but I had Mizzou beating Alabama. Almost happened. I had Oklahoma. I was so confident. John Mateer, he's coming back. It's going to be fine. They get destroyed. Florida did not look like anything much against Texas A&M, and then South Carolina similarly lost, and Arizona State got absolutely boat raced by Utah. Utah destroyed them. So I got.
Are you going to change your strategy of going for the home run? You just hit a
No,
few
in
singles.
fact, I've already made my Week 8 tab exclusively so that I could go pencil in UNLV as the double-digit outright dog winner. Because I saw UNLV was a 11.5-point dog on the road at Boise State. I was like, I think that line is going to move, and I want UNLV real bad. So I already made this week's list of games just so that I could pencil in UNLV.
Nice.
So no, I'm instead of going more conservative and just trying to get points on the board, I am going throwing even further Hail Marys. Let's see. Cousin Steve won 2 of his games with the Bears game pending tonight. Although I must say that's looking good, right?
Oh yeah, I wonder what the.
Bears currently winning 13-7, and he's got a 4.5-point edge on that one. So that's looking good for Steve to pick up another 5 points there. But he gets 10. Lori gets 10 points also. She got 4 games wrong, including North Texas getting blown out on Friday night. Lori had Oregon minus 7.5. That didn't work out. Stanford got blown out by SMU, and then Nebraska, they won against Maryland. However, they only won by 3, and so Jimmy Carter gets that one right, but Lori gets it wrong. And then Lori had Kansas State beating TCU, which they did do. So 10 points for Lori. I had 0 points. Abe, you got the UCLA game right, and that was it.
And I should have been more confident on UCLA. They were getting 9.5. They didn't need any. They won by 25 or something. Like, just a shellac.
UCLA has found something there. It's son of Rick Neuheisel, apparently.
Maybe I'll ride them again. So, like, if this Bears line holds, then we'll have a tie at the top.
If the Bears hold on, then Cousin Steve will be tied for the lead with Lori with 102 points. And I have 65. That's a long way down.
That is. Oof.
Yeah.
But like we said, Jimmy Carter gets on the board again. Abe, 7-5 now in live bets the games.
Yeah.
Not looking good tonight either. Might fall to 7-6.
I'll be 8-5. Come on. Who's kidding?
Jimmy just 1 game under 500 right now. On your heels.
I am not concerned about Jimmy.
All right. You've been listening to Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports with Bob and Abe. Lori's here too. Find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com for more from us, including the Billboard Hot 100 game, the Cast Iron Brains podcast, the flagship podcast of the Brain Iron multinational media empire, in which we discuss news and politics and culture and whatnot. And then also coming this week, the Philip K. Dicksquisition, brainiron.substack.com for all of that. The opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com. For more from Mark. Abe, did anything else in the world of sport catch your attention this week?
Yeah, this is from the weekend before the Texas-Florida game. So when Florida won that game, fans ran onto the field, and a handful of them were placed under arrest. I think I may have mentioned that there should be some sort of variable punishment system to where, like, the few you catch, you go over the top punishment to deter everyone else.
Right.
Well, Florida
I believe you called for like public executions.
I don't know. Was that what I said? So, do you guys remember George Floyd and the
Yes.
No, remind me.
the unrest that happened after that? Well, Florida came over the top where they passed this weird law about like adding punishment to people who engage in activities that people don't like. It was written in such a broad way that it is not being used against the fans at Florida. Like, so there were 4 people that were arrested for rushing the field, and they're using the anti-riot George Floyd law from 2021 to have like a harsher penalty for it. And the school is defending their application of that law. Like, the politicians are saying, this is not what we meant by it. You know what we meant. Come on. Not like fans rushing the field, but like in other settings. Basically, the way that the law is written is like if the law enforcement has control over an area and you trespass, which is, I guess, technically what they did by trespassing onto the field, then the law applies to them, even though that wasn't the intention of the law.
All right, this is from NPR, one of the Florida stations. New law aimed at punishing Trump protesters being used against UF fans who ran onto football field. Lawmakers in Tallahassee said they never intended the new law to be used against fans storming football fields after a huge victory. Were there were only 4?
I guess that's who they could catch, you know.
4 exuberant football fans who rushed the field after the University of Florida's upset win over Texas are facing first-of-their-kind felony trespass charges under a new law a Republican senator said was intended to punish protesters of President Donald Trump during his appearances in the state. Lawmakers in Tallahassee said they never intended the new law to be used against fans storming football fields after a huge victory. Governor Ron DeSantis signed it in May. Head ball coach Steve Spurrier said in an interview he thinks such fan actions at college games energize players and make a lifetime memory for students. 2 UF students and 2 older men were handcuffed and arrested October 4th after police said they ran onto Steve Spurrier Florida Field after the team's 29-21 victory over the then number 9 ranked Longhorns. It was a rare moment of exhilaration for UF.
What's the need with that editorializing?
I'm a little surprised. All right, so the law took effect May 16th, bans anyone from entering an area secured by law enforcement or a large ticketed sports or entertainment event without a ticket, with penalties up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine.
Those used to be misdemeanors, as it says in the article. So it's like...
Gotcha. But it doesn't seem like... If it says in the law, it bans anyone from entering an area secured by law enforcement or a large ticketed sports or entertainment event without a ticket. 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Like, you should have written this thing a bit more narrowly.
I guess it can't say only when President Trump is impacted. They had to write it in such a way that you can apply it broadly, but not this broad.
At a hearing of the Senate Criminal Justice Committee in March, Senator John Gruters, Republican Sarasota, asked, so just to be crystal clear, if somebody goes onto the field, they won't be charged with a felony? That's not the intent, and they can quote me in the case law if that becomes an issue, said the bill's sponsor, Senator Jonathan Martin of Fort Myers. That's funny. It was a very poorly written law is what I'm getting here,
yes.
if this was not the intent.
But it seems like the school is sticking to it. They're like, it's a public safety issue, and they're going to sure be tossed in court.
I think the answer here is if you're going to rush the field, make sure you're a mob and not just 4 idiots, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Lori, anything else in the world of sport catch your attention this week? No? Something in the world of sport caught my attention this afternoon. I was doing my workout, and I put on the On3 bros, who were discussing the James Franklin situation, Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman. And all of a sudden, this happened.
Is it tier 1?
Yes, Penn State's tier 1. All right, this is our friend Lori. This is who.
Wait a minute.
If you've not watched Thursday's show, I want you, when you're done here, to go back and watch the segment on Thursday's show where we talk about the White Elephant Party, which we brought up James Franklin and Penn State in that party. Lori is the one who came up with this concept of what if there was a party where schools could come in and trade their coach, or coaches could come in and trade their program We thought Penn State and James Franklin should do that. And I concocted the scenario where James Franklin goes to North Carolina and everybody's happy. Like Penn State wins, North Carolina wins, James Franklin wins, everybody wins. So here's Lori's suggestion for Penn State, and I love this. Fran Brown would be a nice palate cleanser for Penn State, and he's made clear he wants to stay in the Northeast. Fran Brown would be a phenomenal candidate at Penn State.
Yeah, I would like to see Fran Brown cook with.
Give Fran Brown those resources.
Yeah, those
and
players.
let him recruit the Northeast. Holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's the one.
So imagine my surprise. I'm there trying to do my burpees, and all of a sudden, this fucking weirdo's talking about my old lady with her profile picture there popping up on the screen. It was weird.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
Also, what are you doing sharing? I believe you shared your idea about the coach swap situation on this
you
podcast.
Didn't care.
You just go share it wantonly with other sports podcasts.
Well, just one other sports podcast.
Lori single-handedly now in front of a larger audience than this podcast will ever have by getting Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman to talk about her silly ideas. I did have one other thing that caught my attention this weekend, and it was that early morning Sunday NFL game between the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. The Jets fall to 0-6, have not won a game yet this year. New head coach, the Justin Fields experiment, not going great for the Jets.
Did I see somewhere that their like total offense was like in the negative, or their passing offense there was some putrid output on offense?
The total yards for the New York Jets was 82. Minus 10 yards passing.
Minus 10 yards passing. That's what I saw. Yes.
Minus 10 yards passing. Justin Fields, 9 of 17 for a total of minus 0.4 yards per pass. He lost 55 yards in sacks, which is because they don't count those as rushing yards. In the NFL, they count them as negative passing yards when the quarterback gets sacked, and that's how you end up with minus 10 passing yards on the day.
It's a good thing those Europeans don't care for high scoring because they didn't get any of that.
Here's how this game went. I'm just going to read the drive summaries. Broncos get the ball first. 3 plays and a fumble. The Jets go 4 plays for 3 yards and then kick a field goal. So they're up 3-0 with 3 yards of total offense. Oh. The Broncos then go 7 plays for 23 yards and kick a field goal of their own. The Jets go 4 plays for 1 yard and kick a field goal to go up 6-3. They now have 4 yards of total offense and 6 points on 2 field goals. At the end of the first quarter, the Broncos score a 70-yard, 9-play drive, a wanton display of offensive firepower. They unleash 69 whole yards and end up in the end zone. Then 3 plays, 5 yards for the Jets. 3 plays, minus 8 yards on their next possession for the Jets. And then 10 plays for 31 yards and the end of the half for the Jets. They come back out of the half. They come back 10 plays, 37 yards, and a field goal.
Try not to get any yards.
6 plays, 13 yards, and a punt. 3 plays, minus 3 yards, and a punt. 3 plays, minus 4 yards, and a punt. 5 plays, 20 yards, and a punt. 3 plays, minus 7 yards, and a punt. 6 plays, minus 1 yard, and a turnover on downs. And that's how the New York Jets finished off their game.
Oof.
Just incredibly bad football.
Yeah. And I think in the press conference afterwards, somebody asked the coach, I think it's like Glenn, whatever his name is, I think he came from Detroit, like, how long is this Justin Fields thing going to last? And he was like upset by the question. It's like,
right. Is it Aaron Glenn or something?
Yeah. But it's just weird to be put off by a question like that when he's not playing very well.
I mean, not well is certainly one way to put it. Negative 10 yards passing in the entirety of an NFL game is incredible. The Colts won a tight one against the Cardinals, right?
What was that movie? Unbreakable with M. Night Shyamalan. There was Mr. Glass. This guy's very. He gets injured no matter what. I think Sam Jackson was the one that was playing him. So Anthony Richardson is the backup quarterback to Daniel Jones. In the pregame warm-ups, he fractured his orbital socket and now is on IR.
Like his eye bone?
Yeah. So you know the little stretch band people use to kind of like loosen up.
Yeah.
Did he punch himself in the face?
He wrapped it around a pole. It turns out not a very secure pole because as he was doing stretches.
At least he didn't punch himself in the face.
No, that would have been even worse. But like the pole.
The pole came loose and broke his eye socket?
Yeah, and now he's on IR. Now,
Jesus Christ.
This is just a freak accident, but like he gets injured in the weirdest ways. Like when I saw, I was like, he's gonna be. So now the Colts have to get like a backup quarterback. Maybe they should trade for Stetson Bennett and get him just to.
They should just get Tommy DeVito. Tommy, just get all of the old Giants bums.
That would be hilarious if they did that. But yeah, it's like other than that, the Colts are doing well.
Well, that's good. Anything else in the world of the NFL worth mentioning? The Chiefs handled the Lions last night.
Yeah, I was wrong about that.
Yeah, you were. And the Bucks look like they're the class of the NFC South. Baker Mayfield cannot be stopped.
Other than, a couple of teams, I can't really get a handle on this. Like, I mean, a few weeks ago, the Falcons had 0 points against Carolina. They were like 30-0 or something. And now they're faring pretty well against the Bills. And, like, the Cowboys lose to the Panthers. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, I don't know who's actually good. Besides I think the Bucks are actually good, but I don't know about anyone else. And the Colts are decent.
All right, Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
Forgot to update the.
Oh, did you stop recording?
I did not. Did you stop recording?
Well, does it matter? The stupid quarterback.
The stupid quarterback game.
My quarterback sucked this week, so I didn't want to bring it up. Bob won.
Let's see. You're doing pretty well at this, Bob.
I lost. Fucking John Mateer got me 2.9 points with his 3 interceptions.
That's not good.
Fucking asshole. And then the Iowa State crew only got me 9.3 points.
How about that Thirsty Dirtbags team? Fernando Mendoza and Kurt
Fernando
Signetti.
Mendoza got you.
He threw a pick 6. That was rough.
Yeah, only 15 points. He was your low. Your good one this week was the Chaz Chambliss. What's his name? Saxby Chambliss. Trinidad Chambliss. But
also, Navy did pretty well for Bob, right?
Navy did great, yeah. Blake Horvath. But yeah, fucking quarterbacks suck this week. I don't want to talk
Holy
about
shit. The Lenora Sellers, South Carolina, got me barely, not even 5 points.
So what are the totals? You got to update the totals.
Totals. Bob has 9-11, winning.
Never forget.
Abe and I are very close. I have 748. Abe has 739.
Oh, look at that.
I don't want to get into any descriptions of any leads and whether or not they are able to be or not able to be surmounted, but 160 points or something, 170, that's a nice strong lead I have.
Lead right
It does literally say insurmountable lead next to your point total.
All right.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.